Doesn't matter what I say. And if you at home watching this on Netflix, remember, you clicked on my face.
So that's Dave Chappelle, a promo for his special, which is now available on Netflix, Sticks and Stones. It has been controversial, and everybody's got an opinion. We've both seen it, Brett and I. And Brett, you wanted to talk about this, so it's on you.
Oh, wow.
The fact that we're gonna talk about it is on you.
Under the bus.
I anticipate that, I'm not sure about your views. I think everybody is going to hate me on both sides.
I know, I feel like I'm perfectly capable of saying in this special there were things I thought were funny and things I thought were really not funny. Like not even, and
well, I would say not even just not funny.
Right, no, but yeah.
So you should understand if you haven't seen it, this is Dave Chappelle. If you're not familiar with him, he's a comedian. He's he's my like over the course of my life, he's my favorite comedian.
Because of his views on trans people.
No, not at all. And I remember a time when he did multiple specials where it never came up. But he's a comedian, he's been around for a long time. He is increasingly that sort of comedian where he can't, if you criticize him on a thing, that's what his next special is about. And it feels like, we were talking about this earlier, it feels like a lot of comedians reach that point where all they want to talk about is the stuff that they're not allowed to talk about that they always talk about.
Yes.
They're not allowed to, even though they do all the time.
In this special, it starts with a joke about Anthony Bourdain about Anthony Bourdain's death that I think is really, really funny. So I think
it's not mocking him.
Right. So, and the reason I phrase it that way is because there's ways of writing up, just because of the subject matter of a joke, to me does not mean that joke is off limits. Like it is my philosophy that there can be a funny joke about literally any subject in the world, because maybe the joke is about how that subject is terrible, is a really sad, terrible thing. But I don't think it's off limits. I just think that you need to tell the right jokes. And my criticism of this special is when it comes to like his entire subject of LGBTQ+, even though he has like some funny structures of jokes, and just because of the structure of certain jokes, you can get laughs along the way. Just altogether, it feels like what you're talking about, which is this moment that many comedians arrive at, which is they actually found themselves on the top of comedy because it is true that they really like tapped into how most people, or at least millions and millions of people, were feeling at some point. But the thing about society is it evolves over time. But if you were on top telling a certain kind of joke, you probably don't want to change. And you like everything about that life. And it's totally natural and totally fine. But I think the really good comedians find out what's happening and adapt to it. And it seems like Dave Chappelle isn't doing that.
What I get from Dave Chappelle in these particular topics, and the whole thing is not just about the community, but it's a big part of it. It's half, maybe, it feels like, or a good amount anyway, is it seems like he thinks everyone feels the way he feels, but they won't say it.
Right, so
and I just don't think that that's the case.
So here's specifically what's happening, is that he fancies himself like a real truth teller, someone who is really like a thought leader in evolving a conversation, which is interesting because the reason that he left comedy for a while is because he felt he'd failed that. And he felt like it wasn't working. There was also a lot of pressure because he had made a lot of money. He's talking about the pressure itself being an issue. But he left because he didn't live up to a standard that he really thought he was. And then in his own mind, he's like, I didn't live up to it, essentially, so he left. So he does have an ear out for that kind of stuff. It's just that rather than really listen and figure out how the world is, he's just kind of hammering down on these things. And there are people still laughing at his terrible jokes.
Oh yeah,
and those people really want they're at the special and they tell you ahead of time, the warm-up comedians, like, laugh at everything. Like that's how specials work. And then there's people who really do believe that. And there's always gonna be enough people for Dave Chappelle who are laughing at jokes like that he can fill a room with them. But the problem is, he thinks that those people laughing in that big room are still how the entire world is, and they're not, and they've moved on from
look,
that.
I just think, look, I've said, I know people disagree with me, you disagree with me, I think he is the best comedian in terms of being able to structure a story, like not just a setup and a punchline, but a story with multiple payoffs. I think he's the most talented in that area. It's just, how are you gonna divvy up your time? What are you gonna talk about? There are a lot of things to talk about. Not all of them are your grievances about the thing you were criticized for. And as a person who's liked him for a really long time, I just wish he would spend more time talking about all the other things and not focusing special after special after special on these things where I just think you're behind the times and you don't understand the consequences of what you're saying on a lot of individuals who have been victimized, attacked, harassed constantly. For people, like you're doing it to be funny and to joke, but a lot of people who are saying similar things are not doing it for that reason.
Right.
And when Dana Loesch is tweeting about how awesome your special is because you're not bowing down to cancel culture, maybe that's not a good sign. And maybe you've gone a little bit too far in that direction.
No, but yes, I agree with you. And this is the Dave Chappelle is in this camp. It looks like Bill Maher is in this camp where
his entire camp.
Folks on the right have a similar gripe, which is like, you're not letting me say what I want to say. And the answer is no, what you're saying is just bad and we're disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
But they end up with these weird bedfellows.
Yeah. Yeah, as perhaps like the most extreme version of that, a lot of white, I'll say racists, they always ask, why can't I say the N-word? Why do you want to say that?
Well,
you
there's
don't
also
need
an
to be able
answer.
to say, yeah, there's also an answer, but I'm saying your desire to say something that has no merit on its own for you to say, it's just because you feel you've been denied something, that's not necessarily the principled position that you think it is.
And then I was listening to Nikki Glazer's morning show on the radio today, and they were like, he wants you to think he's cool.
I still think that he is. I still thought that the special was very funny, aside from
go
the
watch
obvious.
it when he does his little walk around and his slap. And they pointed this out. It's training the audience to laugh at your jokes. That's what it is. He's doing it to try to train you to laugh, and it's not okay.
Thank you for watching this clip from The Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.